Hello. Um, so this is kind of a part two to a Greybox video. In the last video, I commented on how my map was too large, and so I was showing it to all of you through the editor. Well, I've made some edits since then, and I've made the map, I've resized it a bit, and I've sort of combined two of the level areas to make it work. So now I can actually take you through the map and you can see how all the mechanics work and whatnot. So we start off in this big room, in this small little cell. This is supposed to be like a person cell. And there's going to be a bunch of enemies out here. There's going to be some pillars for cover and some crates, some enemies up here and some pickups. It's mainly going to be swarmers, and then there's going to be a ranged guy up here who's shooting down at you through here. And the player can come up here, of course, and take him down and then get a whole view of the area. After that, they're going to have to take this key and this is a door over here. And so they'll come over to this door and it will open up. And then once they go through this hallway, they can see there's another door here. If we try to go up to it, it says I need the silver key. So there's not going to be many enemies in the hallway, but once we come over here, there'll be a heavy and some swarmers. And the whole idea is that the player will be sort of like surprised as they come up, they see these enemies. Once they defeat them, they can get this key. This will also introduce the player to the heavy enemy type. It'll be an ogre, this heavy. There's only one time where a heavy is not an ogre, and it will be a shambler, and that will be when we get to the drawbridge, which will be later on. But now we can open this door, we can go up these stairs, and this is the next area. In here we can see there's some doors and then an open room. If we try to go in here, it says I need the silver key. So in here is the silver key, and there'll be enemies throughout here. There'll be a mix of heavies and swarmers. And some enemies in the rooms as well, waiting for the player. When they open up the door, there'll be enemies in here, and they'll take the gold key, which will be to get into that next door. Of course, the interesting part is now we have this button, and so we go up to the button, it'll say one more. So there's a door over here. If we try to go up to it, it won't open unless we press the other button as well, which we can only assume is in here. And there it is. And the sequence is complete, and the door opens. So now we can go up into the next area. And then once again in here, there'll be a bunch of enemies. There'll be some enemies up on this platform. Ranged enemies most likely, but otherwise there'll be some heavies and some swarmers in here. This room is empty. There'll be pickups in there like ammo and health and armor. And then there's a button here which we can press, and that will open some stairs. They'll bring some stairs out of the wall that the player can then walk up. And they can press this button, which will open that. The player can jump. And this will lead them up to the next area. So this is the last area that's inside. There'll be enemies and pickups inside these two rooms here. And then in this room, oh, there'll be heavies in here as well, some heavies and swarmers. But then in this room, there's another key here we can use. We can take that. We can open up this door. And this door will lead into this room. And there'll be some enemies in here, and there'll be some health here, and ammo here, and armor. And the idea is that there's enough there to make the player sort of anticipate what might be coming next. They can jump out of the window into the water. And once they're in the water, they can come up here. And on the other side, there'll be a shambler waiting for them. And there'll be cover, like there'll be some pillars here that the player can hide behind. And if they need to, they can jump back into the water to escape the shambler and sort of hide under the bridge. And then come back up here to sort of recoup themselves. There might be some health and pickups down here in this little room as well. But the idea is that this is kind of the boss fight of the level. And then as they go through here, there'll be some more decorations like houses, some houses here, and once it looks textured to be all right. And then they're in this lava area. And later on there might be some railings. We'll see how it goes. But this is another sort of button sequence area, and they see these buttons here. So we'll just start up here. There'll be enemies within each room. So in here there'll be some swarmers most likely. There'll probably be some ranged and heavies that are ogres on the other platforms here and there. But the player can go in here and they can press this first button. And it'll tell us that there's one more to go. Or rather, it should say two more, but we can fix that later. And then if we press the other button... Oh, okay, it did say two more to go. So then one more to go, and then over here we can press this last button, and there'll be enemies here as well. And the idea is the player's got to not fall into the lava at the bottom here, while also making sure they can get these buttons. And then the door over there will open, and the player can exit the level. And you might remember that this area from the last video went down into another sort of interior, and the way that I managed to resize it was basically by just combining that puzzle kind of with this area, because I liked having the lava and everything, and felt like a cool way to end. Anyway, then you can end the level here. And yeah, there you go. There's the gray box for my now resized level in Quake. Um, Thank you.